Work you love, 3 secrets to every successful job search or career change. My name is Kitty Boitnott, in case you are not familiar with me, although I'm guessing most of you probably are, since I know a lot of the people who signed up are from my email list. So you may have found me in other ways up until now. I did run some Facebook ads, and so if you're brand new to me, welcome. I'm glad that you're here. What we're going to be covering tonight is what I consider the secrets that go along with every successful job search. And what that means is that I'm going to share with you tonight how to find or create the job of your dreams. And so you will want to hang around to hear all about that, won't you? I want you to also approach this without the worry of wondering if you're going about it right or not. There are so many different things that people hear about what it takes to be successful in career transition and job change, and some of the myths you hear are true, and some of them are just that, they're myths. So I want to assure you that you're in the right place if you fit one of the following 3 scenarios or characteristics. So consider, do you hate your current job, and are you ready to break free once and for all? The only thing that's keeping you stuck is that you don't know where to start. If that sounds like you, type in A in the chat box and let me know where you fall on this continuum. Or you may be someone who has been unemployed or underemployed, perhaps since the economy crashed 10 years ago, and you've been wanting to make a change now that the economy is finally getting stronger, and you're ready to make your move, but again, you don't know where to start. It's so confusing. It's so difficult to figure out exactly how to get started. If you're in that category, then type in B in the chat box. And then you also may fall into the category of you've been out of work for a while. Maybe you quit your job. Maybe your job disappeared. Maybe you were let go for some reason. And maybe you've been looking for work for a while now, but your job search has been going nowhere fast and you don't know what you're doing wrong. It may be that you're not doing anything wrong per se. You just aren't putting all of the various job search tools together in the most effective way. So you may be an A, B, or C, or you may be a combination. And if you're a combo, that's okay too. So Elizabeth says she's an A. And by the way, let me welcome Elizabeth, Joanne, Lance, Adrian. Thank you all for being here. Adrian says he's an A. We talked the other day, I believe, Adrian. So welcome. I'm glad you're here tonight. So whether you're an A, a B, or a C, I want to assure you that it's not an accident that you happen to be here tonight listening to the sound of my voice. Something led you to me one way or the other, whether it was through a Facebook ad or through some other mechanism, some other way that you learned about me, maybe through LinkedIn. I know I hear a lot from people who are LinkedIn connections. And while I'm thinking about that, how about also let me know in the chat, are you a teacher or other type of professional? So type in the chat box for me, if you would, teacher or other. That way I'll have a sense of who my audience is. I mostly work with teachers, but not always. I do work with other mid-career professionals who find themselves bored or burnt out with their work. But I specialize in working with teachers. So if you're a teacher, let me know that by typing in the chat box. So again, just in case you don't know a lot about me, I am Kitty Boitnott. My PhD is in educational leadership. I'm a national board certified teacher. Actually, I'm a certified librarian. That's a big deal if you happen to be a teacher. If you're not a teacher, it probably means nothing. I'm also a licensed Science of Mind minister and practitioner, which is what the RSCP stands for. I was named one of the top career coaches online in 2016 by an outfit called careertoolkit.com. I am a current member of Forbes Coaches Council and a regular contributor to Forbes.com. I've been a featured expert in an article with AARP. I'm a professional speaker and author, and I specialize in career development for teachers and mid-career professionals who find themselves burned out, bored, or just ready to make a change. And I see most of the folks who are in the group are teachers, so welcome. So here's the good news. Don't you always like to hear good news first? The good news is that you are the architect of your own life, and that means your own career. I don't believe any of us are victims. We may sometimes feel like we've gotten caught in some sort of a loop that makes us feel victimized, but the truth of the matter is you're always at the point of making a choice. So if you need to be making a change, it's up to you to choose your next move. You always have that power. Here's the bad news, and you already know this or you wouldn't be here tonight. Choosing can be hard because especially you don't know exactly where to turn. You don't know exactly who to trust. You don't know exactly how to get started making the change that you want. And so you just sort of stay stuck, right? And if you are of a certain age, and I won't specify what that age is, but I suspect if you're a mid-career professional, you feel like you don't have time to make any mistakes. And that adds to your sense of urgency and a little bit to your sense of panic about it's getting late. What do I do? How do I make the change that I want? And how do I avoid making a costly mistake? And I get that. But here's what I say to my clients who worry about making mistakes. So what? If you make a mistake, it's not the end of the world. You learn from your mistakes and you move on. That's what living is all about. Mistakes are just learning opportunities. Or it's been said that mistakes are proof that you are trying. The people who aren't making any mistakes aren't doing anything new. They aren't trying to get out of the rut that they feel like they're in. They're just hanging on by their fingernails, hoping against hope that they can make it to their retirement so that they can go away with whatever little bit of pension might be left for them, depending on where you are on the continuum. Now, here's another truth. Job hunting is confusing and complex. I won't kid you about that. There are a lot of moving parts to it, and it's no wonder that you might be feeling a little bit uncertain, and you might feel like it's a daunting process, because it is. Everyone who tells you will tell you something different every time you ask for advice, and that makes it even more confusing, more overwhelming. So what I want you to do for tonight is to set aside all of the distractions. You can already tell I'm talking fast. I've got a lot of information to share. I want you to take lots of notes and keep track of the questions that you have for the end of the presentation. I'm going to share with you what I have learned over the course of the last 5 years that I've been doing this work after reinventing and retooling myself. And I'm going to share some of my best stuff. So you don't want to miss it. You don't want to be distracted with email or Facebook or watching the TV while you're on the webinar with me tonight. I really would appreciate it if you would just tune out the distractions and pay attention, because what I'm going to be sharing with you is what I believe you need to know in order to land or either find or create your dream job. Here's my promise to you. In this presentation, you will learn the only way for you to find or create the job of your dreams is to know and understand the 3 secrets to finding or creating your dream job. I'm going to offer you those 3 secrets. I've decided that there are 3 things that people need to know and often overlook when they're getting ready to start or to initiate a career change or a job search. And I'm going to be offering for you proven strategies for how you could make your own job search or career change successful sooner rather than later. Now, if you'll stick around till the end, I have a free gift for you. All you have to do to get this is stick around. I've got a free 96-page guide, 10 things you need to know if you're ready for a job or career change. It's free to anybody who sticks around until the end of the presentation. Fair warning, I do have an offer, but I don't want you to be scared off by that. You don't have to buy anything that you don't want to buy. If I make an offer that you feel like would be worth the investment tonight, I certainly want you to do that. I just want an opportunity to explain what the offer is about. So here we go. This is me at the last convention that I oversaw as president of the Virginia Education Association. I was in that role for 4 years, from 2008 to 2012. It was a hugely gratifying and satisfying job. It was also an exhausting job. And as I remember sitting there looking out over the crowd of about 800 people, thinking, I was so glad this was my last convention. I was so glad that my term was coming to an end in the next few months. I was exhausted. And that was the only thing I really knew for sure. At this point in time, in April of 2012, the school division from which I had been on a leave of absence had called to tell me that they didn't have any libraries for me to return to. The only job they had to offer me was an English position at a middle school. And I knew I was too tired to want to do that. And so after some real soul searching about whether I could be my best and bring my best work to my students, I decided that I was not in a position to do that. I was physically, mentally, emotionally wrung out. So ironically, it wasn't the classroom that wore me out. It was the job at the VEA. But what I learned from that experience was what burnout feels like, because I was feeling it. And what I'd also learned during those 4 years was that a lot of teachers were feeling it. They were being treated badly by their administration. The continued request for more compliance with testing and data collection and being required to stay after school every night for various and sundry activities. It was just getting to be too much for them. I knew I couldn't go back to it, and I knew I needed to take a break. So that's what I did for 6 months. And I was very lucky that I was in a position to be able to do that. I am still grateful for that 6-month period. I finally began to feel like myself again. But after 6 months, I decided, okay, it's time for me to go back to work. Now, what I haven't mentioned yet was that in between that picture at the VEA and my thinking about it being time to go back to work, I had turned 60. So I wasn't sure either how to start a job search. And I wasn't even sure at that point that I wanted a real, quote unquote, real job, one that would be 9 to 5 with a boss leaning over my shoulder telling me what to do. But I thought it was at least worth exploring. So I attended a couple of networking events for job seekers. And at one of them, I got to hear a wonderful career coach talk about follow your passion, find your next job. And I felt like he was talking just to me. I knew what my passion was. I was still passionate about teachers, not so much about teaching, but I still wanted to be of service in some way, shape, or form to teachers. I know teachers. I love teachers. I believe I know what they are feeling and what they need. And if you've reached the point of burnout, what I also know is that it's best to plan to go than to try to stick around. If you're not having any fun, your kids are not having any fun. And let's face it, kids deserve to have teachers that want to be with them. So if you're struggling to get through each day and each week, it's time to at least give yourself permission to look into what else you might do instead. Just hearing that presentation made a world of difference for me, and I decided to explore my possibilities. But another thing that he shared that was extremely important to hear at that time was this. This was all in February of 2013, so almost exactly 5 years ago. And in January of that winter, a report from the Gallup folks had come out that offered that of the people who had been surveyed, 70% of Americans said they either hated their job or they were disengaged. They were just going through the motions. They didn't feel passionate about their work. They didn't enjoy their work. They were just going through the motions. And I remember sitting there in that audience thinking, I don't want to be part of the I Hate My Job Club. Who does? You don't want to be a member of that club or you wouldn't be here tonight. So the other thing that I kept thinking of was that life is too short to be spending a single day of it engaged in work that you don't enjoy anymore. Now, at the age of 60, I was quite well aware that my days are limited. You know, I've already lived 2/3 of my life, even if I live to be 90. My father died in an accident when he was 63, so I've already lived longer than he lived. And because of that experience, I was aware that life is too short to spend it doing something you don't enjoy. I want to feel like this young woman. I want to be happy about the work that I'm doing. I want to feel like, yeah, I've got this. This is what I am meant to be doing. And so that meant for me reinventing myself. And I did. Once I settled on what it was that I was truly committed to doing, which is helping teachers decide what they want to do in their next career, I got myself trained. I took some courses. I got certified as a life strategies coach and a stress management coach because I know a lot of teachers are suffering from extraordinary stress these days, and I want to help with that. Since then, I've added a holistic life coaching certification. I've also added a sleep science certification. I had an opportunity to be trained by a internationally known career coach and worked with her in her company and her team for 14 months, which is where I've learned everything I know besides from personal experience and working with my clients. Everything I know about career transition and job search, I learned from her. So as a result, all of that came together to be the creation Boitnott Coaching. And I specialize in working in the area of career development, especially taking someone who is not sure what they want to do yet or next, visioning that and bringing it into reality and transition. That's how I know it works. And if I could reinvent myself at the age of 60, you can too. I know you can. So you may be sitting there and thinking, yeah, well, that's great for you, Kitty, but I'm not so sure that would work so well for me. And that's fine. You can be skeptical. Just listen with an open mind for the next few minutes and let me try to convince you that if you have tried and failed in the past to make the change that you want in your life, it's not your fault. And if you're concerned that you can't succeed this time, I want you to put those fears to rest. You can do this. And this is how you'll feel once you know exactly what you need to do and what tools you need to have in order to conduct a job search with confidence. I do encourage my clients to dream big, to set big, audacious goals, and then I help them take action. So here's where most people are on the continuum. They're novices. Novices are people who are just starting. You don't know anything about the job search process. You don't know anything about the various tools. You've heard you need a resume. You've heard you need a LinkedIn profile. You probably need to write a cover letter. And of course, there's the interview that you have to conduct. But other than knowing those basics, you really don't know anything about what's involved in a successful job search. So what you'll do as you work with me or someone like me, or even if you try to do this on your own, you'll go through these same steps. You'll go from novice to learner, and then from learner to feeling more confident and skilled. And as you continue, you'll become more advanced. And eventually, if you stick with it long enough, you'll become an expert. I'm in the expert mode. And what I'd like to be able to do is to help the novices and the learners figure out how to become skilled and advanced until they become successful too. So are you ready to learn what those 3 secrets are? They aren't really secrets, but they may be things that you haven't thought of in quite this way before. The first secret is simply knowing what you want. I know it sounds so simple, right? Answer the question, what do you want? And yet, if you're able to answer that question easily and without hesitation, you're in the top 1% of the people that I talk to on a day-to-day basis. You'll often have a sense of what you don't want. You maybe even can make a list of all the things you never want to have to do again. That's fine. But the question is, what do you want? And more often than not, people don't know. I have a theory about that. And the theory is that you don't think you can have what you want, so you've not let yourself entertain what you want. But I want to change that for you. Secret number 2, you need to know how to use different job search tools properly. Now, I say properly because it's not just enough to know how to conduct an interview or how to write a cover letter or how to write a resume unless you're doing it properly and following the proper protocols, which means knowing the rules. You don't have a chance. It's a complicated process. It's kind of like this schematic. You start at one point and you have to go through all of these different steps, and sometimes you have to backtrack, and sometimes you have to move forward 3 steps and move back 2. If you don't know the rules of the game, you'll never be successful. And knowing the protocols, knowing the rules is critical to your success. And finally, secret number 3. You must develop the determination, the perseverance, and the patience to put all the tools together and stick with it until you're successful. Frankly, that's where a lot of people fall short. They think it ought to happen overnight. Here's a hint, it won't. The average job search lasts from 4 to 9 months. And as the job market has constricted, it's probably going to take even longer. HR directors are taking their time. They're making sure that they have vetted all the candidates. They're choosing the top-notch, best candidates that they can find. And that all takes time. So it is a requirement that you develop the determination and the perseverance and the patience to stick with it. And you also need to develop a powerful plan of execution that you're committed to and willing to stick with. I wish I could tell you that success in this job search field is a straightforward move from point A to point B enterprise. I wish I could tell you that. It is not that. It's a squiggly road that, like I said, 2 steps forward, 1 step back, 3 steps forward, 2 steps back. You can get your hopes up. I have a client who's so excited about a potential possibility that just popped up like magic this week. And I had to remind her, once you turn in all of the stuff that's required, you have to take a deep breath. It might be days before she hears from anybody. But she was so nervous because she was so afraid of making a mistake. And she had me to help her work through that. Here's one of my clients who told me after just barely a week of being in my program that she had already gotten the spring in her step back. She was feeling reinvigorated. She felt like just getting started on the program had brought remarkable value already. And here's what a lot of people tell me, that just knowing that you're working in a proactive manner, that you are finally taking action, gives you an added incentive. It is like taking the power in your life back, and that is critically important. So let me ask you, if you were to follow what I showed you in these 3 secrets of successful job searching, along with helping you to decide what you want, what tools you need, and how to develop a powerful execution plan, do you think you could be successful? I guarantee that you could. The first thing you need to develop, though, is focus. And this is where a lot of people fall short right off the get-go. It's kind of like when you think about planning a job change or a career transition, it's very much like planning a vacation. And I want you to consider that when you are planning your vacation, you pick a destination first, right? You don't book your tickets on the airline. You don't book a hotel without knowing exactly where it is that you want to go. And yet, I can't tell you how many people write a resume thinking that, well, I'll just include everything that I've ever done and I'll send it out to as many different people as I can and I'll see what sticks. Maybe something magical will happen. Maybe the right person will see my resume and I'll get a job offer and I won't have to really work all that hard at this career transition thing. I wish I could tell you that it would work that way, but it doesn't. In today's world, you need a customized resume that's tweakable for every job that you apply for, which means you need to be prepared to tweak and adjust every time you apply for a different job. The days of a one-and-done resume that simply chronologically lists everything you've ever done will not get you where you want to go in the job search realm. It just won't. So dump that thinking, if that's what you've been thinking, that you didn't have to worry about tweaking and adjusting. You do. And you need to focus on what it is that you want before you ever even craft the first resume. Direct your resume toward what your job search goals are. Don't let your inability to determine what it is that you're looking for keep you from writing a resume that is powerful and focused on what it is that you want to be doing. Another tool that you'll need in your proverbial job search toolbox is a cover letter. And I can't tell you how many people screw that up. They think that they need to regurgitate everything that's in the cover letter. I just reviewed a cover letter, the resume. I just reviewed a cover letter yesterday for someone, and they had put everything that was already in the resume in the cover letter. That is not the purpose of the cover letter. So I teach a very specific strategy for how to write a cover letter that the recipient will want to read and will feel engaged by, not someone who's, here's just another regurgitation of the resume. If you do that, nobody's going to read it. They're just going to trash it. You must have an up-to-date, fully completed, fully optimized LinkedIn profile. And just having an account is not good enough. You need to completely fill out as many fields as possible. You need to have a professional looking headshot. You need to engage with individuals on LinkedIn in the areas that you're interested in working in. You also need a customized LinkedIn URL. All of that is critically important to your being successful in the job search realm. You also need to run an audit of all of your other social media platforms. Anything that you might have on Facebook or Twitter, Vimeo or Instagram that might not put you in the best possible light, you need to clean up and delete before you start applying for jobs, not after. You need to prepare for the interview. You will be up against stiff competition. And if you aren't fully prepared for every aspect, I just wrote an article for Forbes the other day about the smallest things can have the biggest impact. Things like how you show up. Have you had a haircut lately? If you're a woman, did you take a little extra time with your hair and makeup before showing up for the interview? Are you dressed professionally? Have your shoes been shined? Have you appropriate eye contact as you meet individual people coming into the interview? All of those are critically important skills and strategies that you need in order to be successful. And I know it's a lot. Putting all of that together so that you're finally successful can feel very daunting, to say the least. It's a lot to put together. And it still always boils back down to, what do you want? And if you can't answer that question, you need me to help you figure this out. This has turned out to be one of the talents that I have. I help people create the space for considering the possibilities of what they can do. And if I haven't done anything else lately, it is that I've helped people figure out what it is that they want to do. Now, that's not to say I don't also teach the specific strategies that you need and provide the tools that you need to have. But none of the tools mean anything if you don't first figure out what it is that you want. So one of the things that I recommend that you do, if you are really at a loss as to what it is that you want to do next, or what your next career might look like, is to think back to when you were a little kid. What did you daydream of being when you were little? What talent did you have that you took for granted, that everybody commented on? Oh, look how Elizabeth can do that, or look how Lance can do that. It's something that's unique about you that you take for granted because it comes so naturally for you. But everybody had some idea when they were little for what they wanted to be. Now, maybe that wasn't always practical. If you wanted to be an astronaut, maybe that isn't a practical dream for now. I always said I wanted to be a nurse, but that wasn't because I thought I would be a good nurse. It was because my mother was a nurse and my Two of my aunts were nurses. The fact of the matter is, what I wanted to do, what I daydreamed of being when I was young, was a writer. And then people started telling me, no, you can't make a living being a writer. So I gave up on that. Now I'm finally writing again. What did people tell you you couldn't do? What did they tell you couldn't make a living doing? And is it too late for you to return to that? Maybe it is. If you wanted to be a ballerina, maybe it is too late. But there are lots of things that you could do that might be related to a passion you had as a child. You just have to give yourself permission to consider it, explore it, and then get to the crux of what is it that you're most afraid of? What holds you back? What's holding you back right now from making the change in your life that you want? For most people, it's fear of failure. You're afraid you'll look foolish. You're afraid you'll feel foolish. Let me just reassure you that not nearly as many people are paying attention to what you're doing as you might think they are. And at the end of the day, it's none of their business. If you decide you want to make a career change, it's only up to you. It's your life, not anybody else's. I also know that some people are actually afraid of success. They're afraid that if they're successful and if they can be or do anything they want in the world, what does that say about the other people who feel stuck? You don't want to show them up, right? You still want to be part of the tribe, part of the family, part of the community. So you don't want to stand out too much. And some people use that as an excuse. I have on my refrigerator a magnet that says, "What would you do if you knew you could not fail?" Another way to think about that is, what would you do if money were not an object? What would you take on if you didn't have to worry about money, about making a living? What would you do? It's an important question. Now, for those of you who may be thinking, well, I'm almost at the end of one career, so maybe I don't want to leave that career just yet, but I do want to be positioning myself for what I want to do after I complete this career. I want to share with you some statistics that I think might be useful to you as you consider your moves in the future. The fact of the matter is, we are moving into an entrepreneurial-based economy. That's probably not news to you. You've heard about the number of entrepreneurs, the number of small businesses that have started in the last few years. We've also heard a lot about how a lot of them fail, but a lot of them are also successful. Based on an Intuit study that was done in 2015, the prediction is that by 2020, and now we're almost just 2 years out from that, more than 40% of the American workforce, or 60 million people, are going to be working as freelancers, contractors, and temp workers. Now, I want you to think about what implication that has for you as a worker. If you have a full-time steady job right now, that job may or may not be around for another 10 years. What will you do if that job disappears for some reason? What would you do as a freelancer, a contractor, a temp worker? The report also says that in the next 7 years, so now we're talking by 2022, the number of small and personal businesses in the United States alone will increase by more than 7 million. And here's the real kicker. Full-time, full benefit jobs will be harder to find. Most of these businesses will be web or mobile based, and people will be working closely with a global workforce. More people than ever will be working remotely from home or a space of their choosing. Again, by 2020, 1 in 6 Americans will be older than 65. but they won't be traditional seniors like our grandparents. They're going to continue to work full-time or part-time. And I know for myself, I turned 65 this year. I have no intention of slowing down as long as my health holds out. So what does all that mean for you? Where will you be by 2020 or 2025 or 2040? What will the jobs of the future even be? And of course, I know not everyone wants to be an entrepreneur, and that's fine. I do want you to think about what your dream job would be. And your dream job doesn't have to be anybody else's dream job. Is your dream job a promotion or perhaps a lateral move from one industry and into a related industry? Do you still want to be an employee, or do you want to leave the world of traditional employment altogether and strike out on your own? The good news is you don't have to do anything overnight. I'm just encouraging you to think about the possibilities right now. I do want you to be strategic and not impulsive. And remember that big steps, or small steps actually, lead to big changes. Having said that, there's no point in delay either. The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. And the next best time is today, which is just another way of saying there's no time like now to get started. Now, I want to share real quickly the story of John Grisham, who is the ultimate career changer. If you are not familiar with John Grisham, he's the author of actually the inventor of the legal thriller genre. And the story behind his rise to fame is that as a Mississippi lawyer back in the 80s, he observed a trial that gave him an idea for a novel. And he wanted to write the novel. It was an idea that wouldn't leave him. He just felt like he had to write the story. But he didn't have time to write because he was a lawyer. He had a family to support and a law practice to keep going. So he got up early every morning and wrote for a little while before going into the office. It took him 3 years to get his first book written, but he finally got it written. Then it got rejected multiple times before somebody finally said, yeah, we'll publish it. And they published it to a very small release, and it wasn't a big hit. So much for John Grisham, famous author. But he had already started his second book, while his first book was something of a flop. The second book was good enough that he got an offer for somebody to make a movie from it. It was the client. No, it was the firm. The book, The Firm. And by the time he wrote his third book, which was The Pelican Brief, and you probably have seen that movie, he realized that people were interested in his first book after all. And another release of the first book, A Time to Kill, came out. And that was all she wrote. He's been a full-time writer ever since. He's, I think, recently released his 30th book. Now, why am I sharing that story with you? He's a career changer. He was a lawyer. He was trained as an attorney. He had a law practice, but he felt a calling to do something else. And he followed his heart, and he did what he really wanted to do. And in his case, at least, it paid off. So that's what I want for you to do, at least to listen to your inner voice, which is probably telling you what it is that you would really like to be doing instead of teaching or whatever you're doing right now. And I want you to listen to that wee little voice that's inside you trying to tell you what you should be doing. Unless, of course, that wee little voice is telling you that you can't. We often have the little voice that says, who do you think you are? And if that's the case, I want you to ignore that voice. I like to listen to a song by Janice Stanfield that says, It starts out, what would I do today if I were brave? If you're brave, you can actually do anything. We have examples of that all around us, everywhere. People who have found the courage to live in integrity are successful. With that said, it may be that you are not able to do it alone. You might need help. Dream jobs are worth it, though, aren't they? So I'd like to share with you quickly, before I let you go and before I give you your free gift, the program that I'm offering, and I'm offering it for a special Valentine's Day price. So it's not going to be the regular price. It's going to be at a discounted price. It's the Jumpstart Your Job Search program. This is my signature program that I developed a couple of years ago now. I've had dozens of people to go through it with success as they learned what they needed to know and to develop the tools that they needed in order to be successful in their job search. What you receive is lifetime access to 10 video modules that are part of an online curriculum that are intended to help you reinvent your career or find your next job. Now, lifetime access means that long after the official program concludes, you can return to the modules as often as you want, as many times as you want, to review, to adjust, whatever you might need it for. It's going to be there for you to return to. So you get lifetime access. You also get for 4 months or 16 weeks or 120 days, however you break it down, email support from me, so that as you're working your way through the program over the course of 4 months, and 4 months is about the time that I have found that if people are committed to the program, they can work their way through all of the modules and be complete, so that even if they haven't found their dream job yet, they're prepared to move on without support anymore. So 4 months of email support, which means you can email me for questions about the program itself or about any of the various aspects of your specific job search situation. In addition to the unlimited email support, you'll also be privy to 8 group coaching calls. We'll use Zoom technology, which is a fabulous platform for face-to-face interaction. Each of the 8 calls are recorded. Each one covers some aspect of the program, and then we also offer opportunities for sharing celebrations and challenges and to get hot seat coaching as you might need it. We don't try to meet every week. We meet every other week, which means you have 2 weeks in between the calls so that you can be working on your individual job search strategy. You will also receive an invitation to a private Facebook support page, and each of the 10 modules will consist of a video tutorial on the topic of that module and supporting resources. In some cases, the resources include templates, recommended reading, recommended activities, assessments, some low fee, some free. And so in addition to the modules, there are a number of additional resources that are provided. So here's what each of the modules covers real quickly. The first module is all about helping you decide what is it that you want next in your career, how to answer the question, what's next for you? And then lesson 2 is all about gaining the clarity and the focus that you need in creating a plan, setting up goals for yourself so that you can actually implement the steps that you need to be successful. Module 3 is all about how to write a resume that will get you invited for the interview. Too many people think somehow the resume is what gets them the job. It isn't. The resume simply teases the recruiter or hiring manager into wanting to know more about you so that they will invite you for an interview. And in addition to the resume, you'll receive a comprehensive list of resume do's and don'ts, along with contemporary templates and an example that you can use to follow. Module 4 is about that cover letter that I referred to earlier. You want to write a letter that people will read and not toss in the trash. I teach how to do that, and I offer a template as well. Lesson 5 is all about how the applicant tracking system works and how you need to learn how to work around it. Very often people have the experience of sending in their resume, sending in their application, sending in a cover letter, and then they never hear anything from anybody. And they're puzzled as to what it is that they did wrong. Chances are that they didn't meet the requirements of the applicant tracking system, and no human ever even saw your application. So I teach how you can work around that and what you need to know about that. I also teach a lesson in lesson 6 on creating a compelling personal and professional in-person and online brand. Lesson 7 is all about creating that rockstar LinkedIn profile I mentioned earlier. Lesson 8 is how to create a research strategy and develop even further that powerful plan of execution that I've referred to. Lesson 9 is all about managing your social media footprint and how it can affect your professional online brand if you're not careful. And then finally, in lesson 10, we prepare you for the interview so that you can be prepared and you then can execute the interview with precision. There are also bonuses. One in particular is an article that I wrote on the importance of developing patience and persistence and not giving in to panic. And you need to know that all of the calls are recorded and you receive access to previous group calls as well. So that if you need some extra little input from perhaps other groups that have already covered some of the information, you'll have access to those calls as well. I will offer additional components, including video reviews of your resume, as many as you send me, your cover letter, as many as you send me, and your LinkedIn profile as you build these tools and perfect them. So I don't want to take up a lot of time. I know we're approaching the top of the hour, but if you'll go to my website at teachersintransition.com, you can learn about Brooke's success and Nikki's success, 2 teachers that I worked with early in my career. And there are some other case studies there as well. So I'll just move on through those rather than to spend any more time talking about the case studies. So here's what I do know. I'm not quite sure why you showed up tonight, but I suspect it is because you're thinking about starting a new chapter in your career and you're looking for help on how to find or create work you can love again. Because if you're here tonight, I'm going to assume that you don't love your current work as much as you used to. Now, let me ask you, what would a program that gave you a whole new lease on life and offered you the job of your dreams, what would that be worth to you? Some people might say it would be priceless. Remember the old MasterCard commercials? Cost of a ticket to the concert's $800, but the experience of going with your daughter, priceless. Many programs like the one that I've just outlined for you sell for thousands of dollars, And when you add up all of the value that I've just offered you in this program, all of the components, it's well over $5,000. And I usually charge $997 or $97 a month. But for Valentine's, I'm running a special of $796, a 20% discount, or 4 equal payments of $199 a month. The group coaching program will start on February 17th. Now, this is an experiment with a Saturday academy. Most of my other group coaching calls have been on a Monday night, and I've had good success with that. I'm just wanting to experiment a little bit. Now, if a Saturday doesn't suit you, we can include you in the Monday night program. But if a Saturday afternoon from 2 to 3 would fit your schedule better and make you feel less stressed and less pushed on a Monday, rather than a Monday, then I would like to offer this as an opportunity for you. We will start February 17th, and you can see there the 8 calls will be every other Saturday afternoon from 2 to 3 Eastern, and we will wind up by June 2nd, just in time for you to spend your summer vacation really locked in on what it is that you want to be doing next. And hopefully, if you're a teacher you don't want to teach next year, you'll be ready to rock and roll and be in your new job by August or September. That would be the ideal situation. All of the group coaching calls are recorded so that if you can't be on a call live, no worries. I record the calls, I send out a reminder, and then you know that you can go into the program and listen, watch and listen to the call on your own time. Now, in order to sweeten the pot a little bit, and in order to hopefully entice you to think about this program for you, for a limited time only, as an additional bonus, I'm offering 3 private consultations. This is an additional $375 value, and I'm offering it. You can schedule the calls at your convenience over the course of the 4 months. You can use them for interview prep, a special edition of working on your LinkedIn profile, a special intensive working on your resume, talking you through your fears and concerns, whatever it is that you need. You have up to 3 private consultations that you can book during the 4-month period of this program. I will also throw in an extra self-directed, do-it-yourself 5-module program called Courage, Risks, and Rewards. This is a program that's designed to help you determine whether or not your fear of taking a risk is holding you back from the reward of making the change in your life that you want. I'll also throw in another ebook in addition to the one you're getting tonight, 3 Secrets of Every Successful Job Search or Career Change. It's sort of a companion piece to this presentation. And I'll also throw in a 4-part video course on how to vision the life you want and set the goals you need to get you there. This is based on the book Goal Setting and Success by Lynn Taylor. The result of all of this work that you'll be doing is that you will have learned exactly what you need to know, and you will have developed the tools and mindset you need to succeed. You will have the tools you need, and you'll understand the rules you need to know to conduct a successful job search or career change. So I want you to be thinking about what questions you have and be posting them now in the chat box, and I'll be looking to see what questions you have. But let me anticipate that some of the questions might have to do with, well, Kitty, all this sounds really good, but I don't have that kind of money to spend on a career coach. I mean, after all, I'm a teacher, right? And I get that. I was a teacher too. But I want you to think in terms of making this an investment, not as an expense. And consider that $796 is really about what you'd pay for one 3-hour college course if you were going back to school to get another degree or to add another certification. So it's in line with that type of investment, and it could make the difference between you're changing your life for the better forever, and it could end up giving you more money in the long run if you get a better job than you have now, one that pays you more, which is my goal for you, that you make a lateral move professionally and that you make at least, if not more, than you're making in your current job. Now, for some people, I know this is what I do when I have an opportunity like this to invest in something that isn't part of my regular budget. And that is, I pull out a little used or not very often used credit card, and I use it for special emergencies or special occasions like this one. So that may be an answer for you if you're worried about where you will find the finances for the program. Another question that often comes up is, well, how long does this program last, and how much time is it going to take, and how much of an investment of my time am I going to need to make? And because you're a teacher, you're busy and you don't have all the time in the world. So I get that. Finding the time is really up to you. I recommend that if you can work on the program 5 to 10 minutes a day, or maybe an hour on a weekend, you can stay up to speed and keep up with the program in a manner that will make you feel like you're empowered, not behind. It becomes part of the things that you need to do in order to be successful. And that's what I say to people about the time. Now, some people worry, well, what if it doesn't work for me? What if I signed up for it and hated it and just it didn't do what it was supposed to do for me? Well, I offer a money-back guarantee. Now, there is a caveat to the money-back guarantee. In order to qualify for the guarantee, you have to work your way through the program, give it at least 60 days, which is halfway through, complete at least half of the modules, and follow every recommendation that I offer, either in the group or privately, so that you can honestly say that you did the work, but you learned nothing useful. If you can tell me that, then you'll get your money back, whatever it is that you've invested up to that point. You just need to be able to tell me why it didn't work for you so that I can consider whether it needs to be adjusted or tweaked. I want you to be successful. Now, some people will say, okay, this is all great, but I'm not in a position to do this right now. And that's fine. The problem with that is you'll continue to be stuck between that rock and the hard place that led you here tonight. You'll continue to feel the pain that caused you to sign up. You can try to do it all on your own, and you might be able to figure it out, but it'll be a lot of blind starting and stopping at first. It'll be a lot of trial and error, and it'll cost you more money and time in the long run than investing in this program. I want you to be able to approach your next job endeavor with confidence, and that's what I'm committed to doing with you and for you. You know, it's been said that Albert Einstein said this, and I don't think it's been borne out that he actually said it. But somebody said, doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results is the definition of insanity. So I want to invite you to consider joining me and the group and learning all that you can about job search, finding your favorite or your dream job, and knowing exactly what it is that you want to do. So let me pull up, well, I was going to pull up the offer. Oh, here we go. Here's the link to the Work You Love Academy. You can click on Yes, I Want In, and that button will take you to the sales page. And there you can choose to pay the $7.96 tonight, or you can sign up for the 4-month budget program. While that is up, let me recap that what's included in the program is the lifetime access to the curriculum, 16 weeks of unlimited email support, video reviews of your resume, cover letters, and LinkedIn profile, 8 group coaching calls, access to a private Facebook page for support, and the bonus of 3 private confidential one-on-one consultations. And then with the added bonuses that I've just mentioned earlier, the 3 Secrets to Every Successful Job Search or Career Change ebook, the Courage, Risks, and Rewards program, the Vision, the Life You Want program, all of that included takes the program to well over $5,000. And I want you to consider that it would offer an opportunity for you to make the change in your life that you want once and for all. Henry Ford very famously said, if you think you can or think you can't, either way, you're right. And I have found that that is a good reminder for those folks who are ready to make the change in their life. They're ready to embark on their new career, ready to find the career change or job change that they are wishing for. If you think you can, you can. If you think it's not possible for you, it's not possible for you. There's no time like now to start, though. It's up to you if you decide to choose a new life over an old life. I would love it if you were my next case study. I want you to know that the future is now. And because you've stayed up until this point, I want you to get your book. So let me go back to offers. You can sign up for the book here. Yes, I want it. Click on that. You should be given the download. Let me know if you have trouble with that link, let me know, and you can email me at kittyboitnot@gmail.com for the book. I'll send it to you tomorrow. So, winding things up, if you sign up tonight, you're eligible for a fast action bonus. I'll send you a 7-part course on managing your stress. This is another $397 value, but it's only for people who buy tonight. And that's it. Work You Love, 3 Secrets of Every Successful Job Search or Career Change. So I apologize that I ran over the top of the hour a little bit. What I'd like to do now is take questions. So let me go back to the chat. What questions do you have? I know there's some people still on the call, which means you either have questions or you didn't want to miss out on any of the free stuff. So type in your question. Now there's a little bit of a delay. So if you're typing your question and I'm not seeing it right away, just hang on. There's a slight delay in the communication on this particular platform. But whatever questions you may have, let me know. I made some notes earlier from what some people might be wondering. So, for example, some people have wondered, so how long does the program actually take? And of course, I already mentioned that it's a 16-week program. It's as far as you're working through the modules, you can work through them on your own at your own pace. The calls are simply spaced out every 2 weeks so that you can have a lapse time between the calls, that you can implement things that you've learned or things that you have an interest in wanting to do for yourself in between the coaching calls. Another question that sometimes comes up is, well, how do I know this is the right program for me? And the answer to that question is, if you're here tonight, it's likely that the program is for you, because you wouldn't be here if you weren't supposed to be thinking about making the change in your career once and for all. It's February. If you're a teacher, you've got another 4 months of school to go till March, April, May, June, till the end of the school year. If you really want to be making a change before next school year, you really don't have time to waste, and you don't have time to delay. If the average job search takes 4 to 9 months, this is about the perfect time for you to be starting. So sometimes people want to know, what else would you need to buy in addition to the program? The only thing is, I do recommend in the very first module, there's some books that I recommend. You don't have to get all of the books, and you don't have to read all of the book recommendations. But there are a couple of books that I do highly recommend that provide some free assessments that can be very useful. So I'm not seeing any questions, so I don't know. Oh, wait a minute. Maybe I needed to. Nope. Not seeing any questions. So if I've answered all of your questions, that's great. If not, if you want to write to me offline, or if you would like to make an appointment to talk about your individual situation, I would love to chat with you about what I might be able to do to help you individually. I do offer some a la carte courses and services so that you don't absolutely have to purchase the whole program at once. This is a really good deal. It's a really good value. And with all the extra bonuses, it's kind of a no-brainer, frankly, for you to get the whole program if you can swing it. But I also know that not everybody can swing it. So if that's the case, make an appointment. Go to kittyboitnott.coachesconsole.com/calendar and set up a consultation. Let's talk about your individual situation and how I might be able to help you. So I still don't see any questions. If I'm missing something, I certainly apologize. I'll put the offer. There's the book offer that you might want to take a look at. And then there's the, oh, you know what? I didn't show the other offer earlier, did I? All right, so I need to remove that. And then the work you love. That one didn't show up earlier. Okay. So I'll leave that up for another minute or two. And email me if you have any questions. Thank you for being here tonight. Thank you for hanging out with me on the night of the first Winter Olympics for 2018. Go USA. And I'll Hope to hear from you sometime soon. Thanks.